R
Well,
word.
okay,
Yeah.
we can get the title that Walmart gave to it when they released this album.
What is
They
it?
called it "Waif Me."
Waif? What?
They called it "Waif Me" because they're like, we can't sell that. That is, um, yeah, wait,
But
yeah, I know.
what is waif even like
I don't
mean?
know.
Love is a weapon.
Okay,
God is an
All
let's
right,
get
here we
down
go
back in business.
again.
Back in business again. So today we are doing our first episode of the head-to-head series. So how this works is we take two classic albums of a favorite band of ours, or just any band really, and we see how these two albums stack up against each other. And our episode today is going to be In Utero versus Nevermind.
Yeah,
So, as usual, our little intro, we are the Boys Review. Give us a like and subscribe if you like our content, and drop us a comment if you have any suggestions for albums you want us to cover. We want to cover the relevant stuff and stuff that you guys want to hear. So feel free to do that. And without further ado, let's get into it. Let's
yeah.
start with Nevermind.
Okay,
So
so how do we tackle this album?
that's
Been named, like top 10 ever, always.
yeah.
Tough business.
It's tough. It's tough to do. I think this is one of the toughest head to
For
heads
sure.
we'll
Yeah, I
have.
mean, most of them are going to be really tough because these are like, especially these two ones are the albums that almost no one can completely agree
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, from what I've seen, diehards tend to go with In Utero more,
Yeah.
but then you always see Nevermind at the top 10 albums of all time. I think they made Rolling Stones like top 10 ever
Oh yeah.
albums ever. I don't know how you feel about it. I am on the side that Nevermind is a tad overrated.
Nevermind
Um,
or In Utero.
Nevermind. I
Nevermind. Right.
find
Okay.
I find Nevermind to be a bit overrated, and not to
Mm.
discount it in any way. It's a very important album, and it captured the zeitgeist. It knocked Michael Jackson off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very important album.
It will inspire an entire generation, right? This was the album of Generation X, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically that album that just came in right time, right place. It's basically like the Sex Pistols when the Sex
The
Pistols.
cover is iconic. And actually, we were just talking about this last week. I think one of the reasons we want to do this head to head is because it just came out with the news of the guy
Oh
who
yeah,
is suing the
the
band
the
for
Nevermind baby.
exploitation, the Nevermind baby. But yet he like recreated his picture. He seems pretty happy in the picture. I don't know.
For album covers, this Nevermind definitely has the better album cover. I mean, that has nothing to do with the music, but
I agree. I mean, it's iconic. Everyone's got a rock shirt of it. When you see it in a record store, it's the most immediately recognizable thing as soon as you walk into a record store is that Nevermind cover.
that's how big this album is, and that's a huge thing. Like
Yeah.
basically before this, alternative music was very underground. Like it was not in the mainstream. Like alternative radio, as we know, like the Buzz were from Montreal, but
Yeah.
could be anywhere. Alternative radio exists almost because of this album. That's how like huge this album is.
I didn't even realize that. That's true. This is a
Yeah,
huge, it's super influential for
very, very
alternative
big.
music. Well, also because like this album, see, Nirvana are very much their own band, but when you hear these two albums, you can hear them combining all of their influences, influences that you wouldn't even think were in there.
Totally.
Like I hear a bit of the Beatles in here, and
It, yeah.
maybe that's because Paul McCartney fashions himself as kind of a Nirvana fan himself, and he's worked with Dave Grohl, and he works with a lot of popular musicians now. But you can hear it because
I
it's
mean,
definitely the two best
yeah.
albums, and it's them coming into their own.
I mean, Kurt
So
Cobain was a big Beatles fan, so that's highly
I've heard
probable.
that. Yeah, that's what I
He
was
like
thinking.
he wrote about a girl, which is not on this album. After listening to like with the Beatles, like I don't know how many times, but like all night or something. He just kept listening to it over and over and over again.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's what Nevermind has. I think that's really might give it the advantage is that it has the pop hooks.
hmm
And like Kurt Cobain always gets like dissected. His lyrics get dissected, but I think like his genius was actually melodies. Like
Yeah.
underneath all of this like aggression and like wall, supposed to be wall of sound, but
Yeah.
is like he is like a gift for melodies, a gift for a hook.
He really does though. And he's even not known as being like the best guitarist either, but his guitar playing is pretty good. Like he comes up with these
melodic,
crazy, these great melodies, these dissonant sounds. I'm a huge guitar guy, right? I love leads and I love the leads in this album. Like they sound kind of derivative, but
yeah,
there's a lot
like
of genius.
Always playing, he always plays like the verse melody.
Yeah, that's it. That's what the solo is for Smell Like Teen Spirit and Come As You Are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why it's also popular. Is it's an alternative album and it's kind of punk and whatever, but underneath it all, it's kind of a pop album. It's basically a pop album.
It kind of is, and I think he said so as much. It's full of hooks, so we'll get into it. Okay, so for one thing, Smells Like Teen Spirit. There's not really much to get into here. Everyone knows what this is.
Yeah, that one's hard because it's like, yeah, it's important, but
it's not my favorite track off the album, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they didn't even like it that much, and
right?
I kind of see why. They called it their Louie, or their more than a feeling.
It's just talking basically. It's just lyrics, but with no reason. There's no explanation.
No, and everyone looked into them, but I read stuff on this, and Kurt Cobain was just like, yeah, I don't like. He just
gibberish.
took and spliced stuff, and sometimes he just wrote it before going into the studio. Like,
yeah.
So I mean,
it's still their best known song. I think it has like 1 billion streams on Spotify. So
1 billion streams.
But it doesn't need much of an explanation.
I wouldn't even put that in my top 10.
No, me neither.
It's fun. It's like a fun song. It's super catchy, but
I think it's like you hear it so many. I've heard it so many times, but without hearing the album itself. So for me, it's like always out of context. But in the context of the album, it fits pretty well. But it's like it's not one of the.
It's a good barn burner. It's like, yeah, okay, here we go. Let's just start this album. So
it's how the album should start for sure.
Works.
It's like the Black Album starting with Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
So we have In Bloom, and In Bloom is a great. It's where he starts showing his melodic sensibilities. It's a great track, and
a classic for sure.
It's kind of I think it's about like not the posers, but the people who. A lot of Kurt Cobain's themes have themes of like him and how he wrestles with like fame and people liking his music, because he himself didn't. When you hear this album, you can hear that he wasn't a very happy person. He struggled with a lot of mental illness, but this is what a lot of it's about, I guess, and that's where you kind of start hearing that in Bloom.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, I agree, but it's also it's hard to really know. It's hard to really know.
It's hard to know. He's very cryptic. He's very cryptic,
which makes it interesting if you compare the two albums. Is that Nevermind is more poppy, but the lyrics are way more cryptic. Like they could mean anything and everything. Whereas in Utero is very abrasive and not pop oriented, but a little more straightforward. Shockingly,
you can pick up on it a little more. It's tough to say. Well, there's Come As You Are, which is of course another classic. And lyrics are super vague, but it really, for me, it is like a quintessential grunge track. If you wanted to show what grunge was in a genre, I think that Come As You Are, and again, there's tons of grunge heads who will probably debate me on this one, but for me, it was one of my first introductions to grunge, and I love Come As You Are. It's brilliant. It's again where a lot of his melodies start coming out. And Breed, I'm trying to think, I always confuse Breed with In Bloom. Is In Bloom?
Breed is faster. Breed's like
Breed comes in with like an opening drum fill, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's Dave Grohl's kicking butt in that one.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that one. I that could be about anything too, but I think it's about like societal norms. Like we can build a house, you can plant a tree. I don't really care. But I don't know. That one's just like it's every song on here. It's kind of fun. Like Nevermind.
It is fun.
Everyone treats Nevermind like it's so serious, but I think it's kind of lighthearted, like kind of fluffy a lot of the times.
It's true. It's because it's really dark, but it is very light and fun. Like when you move on to song like some of it is really, really, really dark. When you move on to Lithium was my first I think my first love with Nirvana. I scratched "Come As You Are," Lithium. I listened to that on. I was on a road trip on the way to Winnipeg with my family, and I listened to that over and over and over again. It's just him going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah, it's very Nirvana. Yeah, yeah. Kurt Cobain, I mean, man, he has a talent with the word "yeah." You can just put the word "yeah."
I know there's something about him yelling "yeah," and
I know it's like,
that influence. Like we kind of have him to blame for post grunge because post grunge just sort of took that and just put it up to 11, with the just yelling yeah for no reason. And then we went on to Polly. Polly's arguably like one of the darkest tracks on the album.
It's super intriguing.
Yeah.
Him taking the point of view of, someone committing assault.
It's dark.
It's really very dark. Obvious not.
But he's not exactly. He's not advocate. He's against sexual assault. He's
probably
not
one of the most raw moments on the album. And from what I read, it was literally just they recorded him in a guitar that was like going out of tune.
Yeah.
And then they tried to play over it after, and it's based on a true story. I don't know all the true story.
I don't know the story either. No, I know, but it's also really good in his the live album, MTV.
Yeah, MTV
Unplugged. We're gonna cover too one day, but it's a classic, but very dark, obviously. Territorial Pissings it's probably the track that stands out the most of this whole album.
It's probably the most punk, really. But I don't know. It's not my favorite. I don't know. Never been one of my favorites.
It's the way it opens.
It's just kind of repetitive and like I don't know. It almost rings false for me. Like it's like trying to be abrasive on an album that's not really. I don't know.
It's weird. It's what kind of disrupts the flow of the album, in my opinion. I think this is what kind of puts In Utero over Nevermind. Nevermind. And then you got Drain You. Drain You is great.
Drain You is amazing.
It's
Drain You is supposedly I think that was Kurt Cobain's one of his favorite songs that he wrote.
I think it's about his relationship or something, or it's about
it was a relationship
being drained in a relationship, and it's good. It's a great song. It's one of my favorites.
Like the sound effects, like the rubber ducky, and like those parts so cool.
Yeah. And then Lounge Act. If I can remember how that goes.
Favorites. I have no idea why. It's like not the best written song, honestly, but it's got like a groove. You don't have a groove in a lot of songs. Like do. Like
that's exactly.
It's pretty poppy.
That's where you see, because they combine a lot of influences in this. They had REM and this, it says here like the Pixies, Smithereens, the Melvins. It's got a lot of, and also like a bit of like stuff like Black Flag and Black Sabbath, which you wouldn't even think, but you would think that they'd be influenced by. But he's influenced by everyone. That's what's so unique about this album. And then we got On a Plane. On a Plane is actually one of my favorites because
I love that one too. Super, super catchy.
I love the melody in the verses and the chorus. It's not about anything.
It could be.
Even he says like, what am I trying to say?
Oh yeah, I suppose I read that too. You literally I could just put that in there. Like he needed something else and just wrote that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the charm of Nevermind. It's like really apathetic a lot of the times and self-deprecating. So
I love that charm about it too. It's kind of funny. It's Kurt Cobain showing how himself, because he may seem like a musician who would take himself like super seriously, but he knows how to laugh at himself. And then Something in the Way, of course, is another one of my favorites. And I actually originally heard it on the MTV Unplugged album.
Yeah, I think that version might be better.
Everyone really loves that because the thing is like Kurt Cobain was also really good at portraying fantasy. And I read that Something in the Way is loosely based off of him living under a bridge.
It's not 100% real.
It's him. Like there's some people like, no, he didn't really live under that bridge in Washington State, but he kind of did. But it's him imagining what would have happened if he just lived there. And that's what it's about. It kind of sounds like an anthem of like a homeless person who's just become completely just like detached from
Yeah.
society and just
You're right, actually. I mean, Kurt Cobain, I think you nailed that. That he was very good at mythologizing. What's the word? That's not the right word.
mythologizing.
Mythologizing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mythologizing like his own, like the way people saw him.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't tell whether it was
yeah,
real or not. You know, that's
it
what was
makes me
brilliant
like,
about it.
that's you feel like you feel his pain when you listen to his music, but then you're not entirely sure you ever really knew who he was.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
It's very it's interesting.
Yeah, then we have Endless Nameless, which I think really hints at In Utero a lot. It's probably the one time where I feel like, okay, this is not a pop album anymore.
They both end on, I think In Utero and Nevermind both end on like just kind of like a hidden track or like a bonus track kind of.
Yeah, and I don't know about In Utero. You have to inform me on that one because I wasn't sure. But Endless Nameless it was a secret track. It was like they used to do those in the 90s a lot, where it was just like a few minutes would go by and you think the album is done, and then this boom, they would have this weird.
That was a 90s thing.
I like that though, because especially this album, you're like, oh, this is a poppy fun album, and then like you leave it on and there's just literal screaming.
Yeah. Or a song that you didn't really want to hear, it comes on, you're like, okay, maybe I could have just closed my Walkman and moved on. But yeah, that's something that you don't get on Spotify anymore because it was on a CD. The CD had to end at some point, right? So they gave them free reign to put whatever they want on there just to kind of like mess with people. And yeah, but I don't remember much of it either.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. While researching this, I ended up liking it a lot. When I was younger, I was like, ugh, this just sounds like they added this for no reason, but I like it. It kind of adds a really fun exclamation mark to this whole album. It's like almost funny, but it's not. I heard it's very dark, actually. It was like after they kept messing up Lithium or something, like the band they couldn't keep in time or something. Kurt Cobain just literally lost it. Like he had he didn't even know what he was saying in that song. He had no idea. So it's like it's funny. It's like unbridled anger. So I don't know. I like it. But,
I kind of dig that too. I mean, again, there's nothing really. I
wouldn't listen to it all the time, but it has its place, I suppose.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so now we're moving on In Utero. And right away, Serve the Servants is a better intro than Smells Like Teen Spirit. I think Serve the Servants should have been there. Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's a flawless song. It's just got a great chorus. It's
catchy, super
catchy, so catchy. I find myself singing it too.
It's something I feel like they were trying to do. Like it has the melodies, but it's not too polished. It's still like really like kind of sloppy, but in a good way. Oh yeah, no, it's also great. Like the lyrics actually make sense in this one. He has what the line is, but it's so good about him being like bored and old and like
one of the most poignant lyrics is like he's like not mad at his dad anymore, and he's
it's him, it's not being mad at his dad. He had a really messy relationship with his parents. I love that.
It's great. I know. I love it too. It's a great opener for this album. And there's Senseless Apprentice.
Yeah, supposedly Dave Grohl wrote that riff.
Oh yeah, I heard an interview that Dave Grohl like can't listen to In Utero, or that's interesting. Really? That's pretty interesting. I don't know.
He wrote this riff, but Kurt Cobain didn't like it. He was like, well, it's kind of a generic grunge riff. But then they wrote together and they were like, oh, this is actually super cool. And I agree. I actually I could see how it might be generic, but it's so like, it's so unnerving and creepy. And I
know.
It's about a book too. I'm so bad at remembering titles.
No, I know. Well, there's so much going on in each. There's like a Wikipedia article for like every one of these songs.
But In Utero, like I give it points for being a little more comprehensible, but that depends. That's subjective. If you like your album cryptic,
you'd have to basically read a book on this to get all of the songs. Even after listening to a couple times, I still don't know what every song is about.
There's parts where I thought he was saying something like for the last half year, like half my lifetime, I thought Kurt Cobain was singing something. And
Mhm.
when I was looking up the lyrics, I was like, that's what he said. Like
I know. I'm like,
I don't even know if that's accurate. Did he write those down or did someone try and like write what he was singing? Anyway, that's off topic.
I'm very curious as to his whole writing process. It's certainly very unorthodox. And then we got Heart Shaped Box. For me,
Oh,
Heart Shaped
yeah. I
Box
think
is
that
like
might
the
be,
come as you are of this album.
I think it might be my favorite single. I'm not saying favorite
Yeah.
song. I don't really know, but favorite single. Like it's so yeah,
So
it's
creepy, the
you're
build
right.
up.
It is
Yeah.
like Come As You Are. It's like
Yeah.
the poppier one that like
Makes me want to get this on vinyl. Makes me want to hear this on vinyl
I
for
might,
sure.
yeah, I want to.
I
The
think
Heart
I might
Shaped
have to
Box
get it.
deserves to be more popular than Teen Spirit, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it is. It's still very popular.
I don't know. I don't know what Heart Shaped Box is really about.
I don't know. Supposedly, Courtney Love thought it was about her.
I thought so too.
I don't know though.
It could be with the media. It could be because I mean he had a problem with the music industry or the music media, which he comes on well in the next song, which I won't say a title. It's a bit heavy, but it's
well,
R-word.
okay.
Yeah.
We can give the title that Walmart gave to it when they released this album.
What is
It's
it?
called Waif Me.
Waif? What?
They called it Waif Me because they're like, well, you can't sell that. That is yeah, wait.
But
Yeah,
what is waif even like mean?
I don't know. I don't know what
I
I mean. You can figure that at home.
I'm glad that you knew this because even I thought about it. I was like, I don't have like saying it out loud. It's a
But that's why
bit-
they couldn't sell it in stores. So they're like, but it makes no sense and it doesn't
Wait.
that doesn't mean anything.
Gosh, I shouldn't laugh, but that's not what.
I know. Waif me.
I think I'm gonna have to laugh about that a bit later, but I don't
It's like
understand.
WAIF me. I know. I don't you have to give them like it takes a lot of like gall to release a single with this title. Like this is
I
not
know.
honestly, I don't really 100% know what it's about. That's kind
Yeah,
of
I know.
brilliant of it. Is it about what it's talking
What it's
about?
talking about, or is it about his relationship
Anyway,
with media?
Also, interestingly enough, what I love about it, I think my interpretation is it's about the media because that riff sounds like Teen Spirit a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like Kurt being like, okay, like here, this is what you want. I'm gonna give it you what you want, and then like him just going off on the
I can hear that for sure.
and honestly, I don't blame the guy. Like honestly, from what you read about it, like I'm not blaming anyone, but I really feel like the media killed that guy. Like
probably.
And yeah, that's also why I have a bit of subjectively why I don't love Nevermind as much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not the album they wanted to make and made them more popular than they ever probably intended.
And eventually led
they
to
couldn't handle it. Yeah,
they couldn't handle it. Well, that's kind of what it's kind of like. This album is Kurt Cobain kind of unraveling a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's
a hard listen.
It's a hard listen. It really is because he
depressing.
died the year after this album came out, and that's why it's so hard to hear. But it's so raw and vulnerable, and
yeah, I think it's the album they wanted to make.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
I mean, who knows how much darker it would have gotten after this.
I mean, MTV Unplugged is pretty
pretty
I find it even darker because it's like, all right, we're not even hiding behind loud guitars anymore. This is like it, exactly. What else we got on here?
Frances Farmer Will Have Her Revenge on Seattle. That is the greatest song title.
I know,
ever.
I love it.
Is it about? I think it's about something, isn't it? Or it's about a story.
Yeah, it's about an actress. I think her name was Frances Farmer.
Yeah.
So good at homework. Frances. Yeah, she was an actress she was bipolar, I believe.
She was in and out of
she was institutionalized. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it's like Kurt.
It's like it's basically Kurt's comparing his struggle with the press to her.
Frances Farmer, that's her name. Yeah.
Frances Farmer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Musically, I find it a little bit on the nose for Nirvana. It just sounds like musically something someone like would write.
Yep.
It's almost a parody almost.
Mhm.
But I mean, some of it really hits like that. What is see? I don't even know 100% what he's saying. I must seek comfort, or I must feel comfort in being sad, or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that line. that's a good line.
I wonder what I have to look this up later. Like what happened to Frances Farmer. I mean, something like how did she? Jeez, she was like she had a court hearing where I don't know. That's a story for another episode, but because like
Yeah.
man, we don't we don't want to be here all night, but
overtime.
yeah, we don't want to go over time. But no, then we go on to Dumb. Dumb is just about him like seeing people who have like no social life and no job and just being, like you said, ignorance is bliss, like just being very at peace with who they are and what they are. And it's a good point, because like oftentimes you kind of think about that too. You're like, everyone around you is like, oh, I gotta be the next to do this thing or that thing with my life, or like my life's not good enough.
Yeah.
There's some people who are just perfectly content to just watch TV or not just watch TV, but some people just don't think about the big things in life and just try to enjoy every day.
Or maybe that's like a projection. Like sometimes you see people and you're like, wow, this person, like, do they ever suffer at all? Do they ever like
right? And you don't know what it's like that's what it is. It's kind of up to you to interpret based off the lyrics, which is what I like. It's open to interpretation. Then we got Very Ape. Very Ape is an interesting riff.
Yeah, I like it. It's like I heard I read, supposedly, I don't know how true this is, that this was they were super into Devo and like new wave bands, and this is them trying to write like a new wave.
Oh yeah,
I can kind of hear that a little bit.
Yeah,
no idea what this is about.
Me neither. Milk It is another one I'm not really sure.
I like that one. It's very Nirvana though. It's very like dynamic, like soft to loud dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I it's very abrasive, and I think it adds some of that abrasiveness. They're trying to go for. So
yeah, well, the next one is Penny Royalty is great too. I love Penny Royalty. It's about it's about dealing with some people dealing with severe depression.
I think depression,
and
it's like Leonard Cohen and stuff.
There's a Leonard Cohen reference in there, and he Penny Royalty is an herbal abortive. It's about dealing with like stomach pain. I had a feeling that's what Penny Royalty was. You can hear in the chorus. It sounds like him trying to drink.
Yeah. He had notorious chronic stomach pain. That was a big influence on all this stuff. Like he was constantly suffering from
oh my gosh. Jeez.
Yeah,
it's not easy. Then Radio Friendly Unit Shifter. I like the way it opens. It sounds like a fly buzzing in your ear, kind of.
Yeah, this is the only one I don't like, and that's the one thing that makes this one hard to go against Nevermind.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's the worst out of those two albums.
Is it like a kind of an attack on like radio?
Yes,
it sounds like it.
I don't know.
You'd have to read lyrics.
I don't know.
Tourette's, I'm not sure either.
That one seems straightforward. Sounds bad.
Is that what it's about, or
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I assume. Like I guess again, this is what makes it so tough is it's like it's so cryptic. There's just so many interpretations. You can't even.
No, I've even tried to look up some of these things, and there's like several different answers. There's nothing. But I mean, that's kind of the brilliance, I guess.
That's the brilliance of it. Same thing with All Apologies. I don't really know.
Oh, I love All Apologies. That was
me too.
Might still be my favorite Nirvana song. I love it.
It says here it was about his wife.
Yeah, I mean, some people have read a lot into it that it's like, oh, it's his suicide note.
I don't know.
I'm not trying to be insensitive. I don't think.
No, I don't. That's it. I don't know. I used to think there was. I don't know what All We Are. Maybe if you listen to like the lyrics, like All We Are is All We Are is something that you would.
Supposedly, I think this was him trying to write an upbeat song. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Not really, but.
Not really, but yeah. No, I know. I don't know. It's tough to say. See, that's what's challenging about In Utero. I think it's not so much the music itself; it's the lyrical content of it.
I know. I said that it was more straightforward, but now I've come to realize.
Now I'm wondering.
No, it's just like Nevermind. The lyrics are pretty cryptic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
yeah,
was
we
all
come down to the
fun.
final verdict. Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with you in this one. I think In Utero is a better album
Yeah, I really,
by an inch,
yeah, I think
not
by
by like
fractions.
crazy
Most
amount.
people would say like a lot. A lot of diehards want to be like in utero because it's not the popular one.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to go on a limb and say, oh, Nevermind. Like I did say Nevermind was overrated, and I do believe that.
Yeah.
In terms of influence, no, it deserves to probably be in the top 10 most influential albums ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm like in utero, just I think it captures what the band was all about
Yeah.
the most. Like it's their masterpiece in essence.
Yeah.
There's everything you want. It has like abrasive punk. It has like their hardcore leanings. It has pop hooks.
Yeah.
Cryptic lyrics. Like the performances are more heartfelt. Like it's really, yeah. The songwriting is even better. It's just
I know.
Nevermind's just a little too repetitive. It really is just like it's catchier. I will say Nevermind is catchier.
Yeah.
But it's just a little more repetitive, and there's a formula. And Nevermind, it's always like the same. For the most part, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, we're gonna do verse, chorus, quiet, loud. Oh, we're gonna have a solo. It sounds like, and it's a good formula. Don't get me wrong, but
I think that at the end of the day, they're good in tandem. They're good together.
yeah, I think, yeah.
But if I were to pick one, I agree. I think In Utero. I just think the way it's the way they flow. Like the way In Utero opens, it's just from the beginning to end. It's an incredible album. So is Nevermind, but I mean, it's both were so important because they set the stage for like their final album, which was, I mean, they did an album after, well, while he was alive. Their final album while he was alive was MTV, right? So
yeah,
they're
that
both
wasn't
super
like,
important,
there's
but
there's no original music on that one. It's still my favorite Nirvana album, but um, but yeah, and I don't know. In Utero is just, I don't know. I think it was just like a step towards like the artists they were trying to be, and you can just hear that a lot more.
yeah.
But it's, yeah, I don't know. It's very, very close. Neither one is widely better or worse than the other. So
Yeah. All right. We're going to give this one In Utero. And that concludes our first head to head.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.